OT fam? It's your boy Poppin' T. We back in the same outfits. Ain't going nowhere because we're recording 2 in 1 day. But we still Poppin' T as usual. So let's get into it, Pop. Oh yeah, my bad. I forgot the jug for y'all. Royal Farms, best gas station. Second best gas station out.
What's your first?
Sheets.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Can never cheat on my baby.
Yeah.
But Pop, what's the tea for today, man?
We're rocking the. I would say we're rocking the same tee, but I kind of wanted to talk about the Baltimore Chargers. Signed Gus Edwards, signed Ben Mason, brought in J.K. Dobbins for a visit. Greg Roman brought in as their OC. Just seems like Jim is a little envious of Big John, and so he's trying to recreate some of what happened in Baltimore, which isn't a bad strategy, but it's apparent.
Yeah,
especially to us Ravens fans.
100%. It just seems like he's following in his brother's footsteps. Like Greg Roman is OC. He obviously wants to run the ball. No wide receivers. It seems like Baltimore over there. So good luck to Justin Herbert. Have fun throwing to nobody.
At least you got Gus.
Yeah, you got Gus.
I seen Gus catch a couple wheels. So.
And that boy wearing 4 now. No more 35.
He's wearing 4?
Yeah, that boy in 4.
That's pretty sick.
I love it.
Can't lie. Yeah.
All
right. Well, we're gonna finish up the NFC for our RSD series. Resign, sign, draft. This is also a very fun division, a very stacked division.
Yeah.
It's funny seeing the Vikings probably with the most up in the air. But we're not going to start with the Vikings. We're going to start with the Chicago Bears.
The Bears. So for the re-sign, it's one man only.
No doubt.
Mr. 3-3 himself, lockdown corner. Mr. Jalen Johnson, one of the best corners in the league, like undeniably. We all know that. We've seen it. Was only targeted 50 times last year, which means that he was getting the ball thrown at him less than 3 times a game. Do you know how good you got to be in 4 quarters of football to get the ball thrown at you 3 times in a game on average?
Top of the top.
Like, it's ridiculous. We all know what he can do. We've seen the film. I love the resign for him. Going back to what I said in a couple episodes.
Yeah, I gotta. Can I just
go ahead? Talk to me, Pop.
I just gotta apologize.
There we go.
I gotta apologize. I was ragging on that Bears defense. To me, in my head, I just didn't think they had the star power compared to some of the other units in the NFC. But TJ fact-checked me. They were the best defense in that second half of the season after they got Montez Sweat.
Mm-hmm.
So my apologize to our many Bears fans, listeners. But yeah, that's the best unit, apparently.
Number 1 ranked defense after week 8, man. They got it over there. Now they got the offensive pieces for a guy I'm gonna talk about later. Pop, talk to me. Who's your favorite signing for Chicago?
I guess it's not really a signing, but I feel like it'd be wrong to not talk about Keenan Allen. That was definitely their big move. Obviously, DeAndre Swift is a decent ad as well. I personally think DeAndre's meh. But on
a scale of 1 to 10, like how mad are we talking?
I think he's a 6.
Okay.
Out of 10 back. Like he's gonna bring a little extra juice than a Miles Sanders, but he got run out of Detroit, and then the Eagles went and found someone immediately after he played there. So
okay, I can see where you're coming from.
I think he has vision issues. He's the type of back to bounce everything outside and not take what's given to him.
Yeah.
So I think he's got one of the best jump cuts in the league. And he's got that speed, but I just think he doesn't take what's given to him as often. But I'm not talking about DeAndre. I'm talking about Keenan. He had a great season last year. He's an old dude. I think he's 31, 32 now. I think he's the perfect complement to DJ Moore. I think I talked about it on a past episode, but where DJ excels in man, Keenan really excels in zone. He had 1,243 yards last season and 7 touchdowns, playing with Herbert and a whole slew of quarterbacks. I just think that they've really built a strong group of weapons there for inevitably the man out of USC.
Yeah, I won't talk too much into Keenan because you just led me perfectly into my guy. We know who's going number one. It's Caleb Williams. Regardless if you like it, if he wears lip gloss, he has a pink phone and paints his nails. The kid is undeniably the number one.
Dog.
Yeah, he's a dog. DAWG dog. He's going one. We know it.
His highlights are some of the craziest highlights I've ever seen. Like if you flick on Pac-12 After Dark, any game last season where USC was playing, like the things that Caleb Williams is able to do is really incredible. And I know it's not against the same level of competition as you're going to be facing in the NFL, but I mean, it's been clear-cut since the beginning of this draft cycle. Like, this dude is the number one pick.
Yeah. His 2022 year had a 42-5 touchdown interception ratio. 2023, 30-5. And I'll even go back to 2021, 21-4. It's almost like the kid is out there like Aaron Rodgers. He's very smart with the ball, but he moves back in the pocket, kind of Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes-esque.
Also added 10 rushing touchdowns each of the last 2 seasons as well.
Like, the kid's good. You can't deny it. We all know it. And he's going to do big things in Chicago his rookie year.
It's really funny to me because I know a lot of Bears fans just through meeting people here in Nashville, a lot of people from Chicago, and the amount of hate that they have for Caleb Williams, like, even after the Justin Fields trade, they're like, I still don't want Caleb Williams because he's a diva or whatever. It's like, dude, when he goes out there and wins 10 games for you as a rookie, you're not gonna be yapping anymore. Like,
yeah,
he's the truth.
Yeah, he is. People just hate new things, new ideas. It's a new generation of quarterbacks. It's not your Tim Tebow's. I'm gonna try to run through an MF, and I'm gonna go pray to God afterwards. It's not that style of quarterbacks anymore. These guys on social media, they know who they are, and people just don't like that sometimes. But what he does on the field is undeniable. Caleb will be the rookie of the year next season. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Bears are, for once in my life, really gearing up for something special.
Yeah.
And if they can keep adding on both sides of the ball, which they should be able to, if you got Caleb on that rookie contract, like, sky's the limits for this team.
It's got to keep building.
I don't love the coaching staff. I like what Eberflus was able to do once people got comfortable in his scheme, clearly. But I think they're moving on to a new offensive coordinator this offseason. Got to see some improvements there.
Definitely.
Well, let's move on to our next team. The Detroit Lions played in the NFC Championship last year.
Should have won.
Just have seemed to get better every year, past couple of years, and I think that they've continued to do that this offseason.
Definitely.
My re-signing, it looks like we got a little bit of a theme here, is Graham Glasgow. If your strength is in that offensive line, your coach has the mentality of just out physicaling people, mental toughness, just beat up the person in front of you. That starts in the trenches, and I think keeping Glasgow there, play left guard for you, is a perfect way to do that. Familiarity with the team, I think that he'll slot right in where Jonah Jackson left.
Yeah. I'm a big boy, so I always love the big boys. Glasgow's a dog. Like you said, keep that line together. Dan Campbell was a hard-nosed, old school football guy, and that starts with running the ball. Especially when you have the weapons that you do in that backfield, you got to keep that O line consistent, and you got to keep them healthy throughout the season. Because if that group can stay together, based on how their roster looks right now, it's going to be a disgusting offensive line. You talked about the left side. I'm gonna talk about the right side with their signing. Kevin Zeitler, the former Baltimore Raven, was very consistent. Has been very consistent over his entire career.
I loved him as a Raven.
I loved him. Played very good ball for us. Only allowed 2 sacks last season. And played almost 1,000 snaps. I think he only missed one game. I think against the Dolphins. But otherwise, he was healthy. Played all year. He's a dog. Very smart football player. Plays with his hands inside. Great leverage. Great technique. So if they're going to continue to build, it starts up front. It starts with that front five. And I think he was the perfect signing for them.
Definitely, and it's just continuing the theme of you win up front, and that's how the Lions want to win.
Yeah, starts in the trenches.
Now for their draft pick, way different than up front. I have them going for cornerback Terrion Arnold. He's been one of the top corner prospects in this draft cycle the whole way.
Yep.
A lot more buzz now around Toledo's Quinyon Mitchell, who's better athlete, at least testing wise. Tore up the Senior Bowl, but Terrion Arnold is a technically sound cornerback. No slouch as an athlete either. Tested great at the combine. Was consistent the whole time he was at Bama. For a Lions secondary that was definitely their weakest part of the team, to add a CB1 way down the board like that, I think that the Lions staff would be very happy with that pick.
Yeah. Especially after Akuda, just going back in that first round and getting another corner, I think that's going to be very important for them. Like you said, is that day one starter and will definitely make an immediate difference once he gets over there. That's it for Detroit, right? Yeah, that's RSD.
Yeah. How's your garage man looking?
Let me see. Good so far. It's just picking. It's real windy up here, so it's picking up the wind from outside.
Got it.
Looking at my shit, I just realized I thought Greg Joseph was on the Packers last year for some reason.
No.
Just sorry, I'm audible.
You want me to do the signing first?
Yeah, go ahead.
So for the Packers, we're gonna switch the order. I'm gonna talk about the signing that they made that I like the best, and that was safety Xavier McKinney from the Giants. Had an outstanding 2023 season. Earned the big contract. He's got versatility. He comes down, tackles in the run. He can follow people across the field. Play on those bigger tight ends, shiftier guys. He can do it all. Had 3 picks, 1 forced fumble, and 116 total tackles last season. I think that the Packers have been coveting a do-it-all safety for some time now. They've tried to address that in the draft with a player like Darnell Savage, and that didn't work out. So instead of investing the draft picks, they've decided to hand out that money to Xavier McKinney, and I personally love the fit. I think that's going to round out a very talented Packers defense.
Yeah. I personally love corners. I mean, not corners, safeties who play physical ball. I think McKinney is the perfect example of that. Like we highlighted in the last episode, a guy like Kyle Hamilton. I think McKinney's kind of in that same build. Obviously, he's not 6'4", but when he's one of those safeties that's very versatile, that loves getting his nose dirty, is going to come up and tackle. And he's one of those guys you're comfortable with having, as your last line of resort back there at safety. So going back to R, I messed up. I thought Craig Joseph was a Packer last year for some reason, but he was definitely in Minnesota. So I audible to Keyshawn Nixon. I believe I'm saying his first name right. As a corner over there in Green Bay, but is more known for his special team ability. Punt and kicks, he does it both, and has actually been an All-Pro, All-Pro returner these last 2 years. So I don't think you can pass up on an explosive kick and punt returner, especially with the new rules that will be, brought to the NFL this year, similar to the USFL.
That should have been our T.
XFL, UFL. Yeah, it really should have. We're obviously not up, at 10 o'clock p.m. We're not locked in. But I think a guy like that is really going to help the Packers offense, just because of how explosive he is, especially with the new rules. It's just so much different. It's going to allow for bigger plays. So I love that re-signing for them.
Definitely. I think, especially for a Packers team that's struggled in special teams, in big moments, you got to retain your special teamers. A very underrated aspect of the game to casual fans, but definitely crucial.
It's important,
especially when you're competing for a Super Bowl.
Yeah. So for my draft, I got Armarius Mims out of Georgia. Is a right tackle. We know with why does his name just slip my head?
Bakhtiari.
Yeah, with Bakhtiari being released this offseason, just couldn't stay healthy. Mims is kind of a project. He's not as refined as some of the other tackles in this class, but I believe he has good feet. I think he plays with good leverage. And he's just a mountain of a man out there at tackle.
He wasn't. There's been so many great offensive linemen at Georgia that I wouldn't even say that he's a project. I just don't think he's had the sample size to show any major kinks. Like, I don't think he's super raw when I watch him play.
Yeah.
But he only has 8 starts, so.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
That's the issue.
I would say I was actually watching his film against Tennessee last week. He just looks so explosive in his pass sets. He looks so confident, so comfortable out there. And that's a big part of playing offensive line, just being comfortable in your abilities. And he shows that on film. So even though I said he's a project, I don't think he's going to be one of those guys that takes 2-3 years to develop. I think by the end of the season that he'll be refined and he'll be a decent starter going forward.
And if you can really hit on him, having that mountain of a human being on your offensive line protecting Jordan Love, you'd be very happy with that.
Definitely.
So I think we just got one more team to touch on here, and that's the Minnesota Vikings. They look like they're in a little bit of a rebuild right now, but there's still a lot to be happy about on that team. You love your coaching staff. You love your offense besides quarterback. And, Brian Flores is going to coach up that defense to play way better than the talent on paper. So let's go right into it. For my re-sign, the Vikings re-signed like 5 players, and most of them were backups. So I elected to talk about Theo Jackson. We got to bring some love to our special teamers in this episode. He was a special teams contributor this last season and a backup safety. Played when Josh Metellus, their stud safety, went down and actually nabbed the first pick of the season for the Vikings in 2023. So just some depth and some special teams. Can't hate it.
Not at all. Like we just highlighted with the Packers, special teams is a very important position. And is going to become more important as fans understand these new kickoff rules. There aren't going to be as many touchbacks as there were in the past. Guys are actually going to have to return the ball now, because for kickers there's a penalty, of kicking the ball back into the end zone. So they're really emphasizing on trying to get the ball returned and give guys the opportunity to return the ball. So just having guys out there that are comfortable in that position to make those tackles and just ball hawks out there on special teams, you just can't pass up on it.
For sure.
So for the signing, I was kind of conflicted between two guys, one defensive and one quarterback. But I decided to go with Sam Darnold. I really wanted to go with Andrew Van Ginkel. But the Vikings just don't have a quarterback right now. So I don't think you can say there's any position more important in football, especially with the position the Vikings are in with not having a top 5 draft pick. And the way it's been going recently, the first 4 picks might be quarterbacks. So if they don't find a way to trade up into that top 4 and be one of those teams, I think Sam Darnold is going to be their most important signing of free agency. Obviously, he's not the answer. We know that. Everybody knows that. But it's a quarterback, and they don't have one. So by default, it's Sam Darnold.
I mean, I highly doubt that he turns into anything, but I do think that this is far and away the best starting situation that he's had. I mean, you remember how terrible those Jets teams were, and that Carolina team that he started on might have been worse.
Yeah.
So, to have weapons, coaching, and an offensive line now, I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm not expecting anything, but, I mean, maybe we get a little Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield action. You never know.
Yeah, they had that boy out there seeing ghosts in New York.
I still think about the fact that he actually said that. To the public, he admitted to seeing ghosts.
I was out there seeing ghosts. That has to be one of the greatest quotes from football of all time.
I think as soon as he said that, he lost his job.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Can't admit to that.
As soon as that got out to the public, that phone call was made.
Yeah.
But even though we just talked about Darnold, I do want to highlight Ginkel. He's a very versatile player in Miami. I think he'll come to Minnesota and be able to do the same thing. Had a 91 PFF grade last year.
What?
Yeah. He is the truth, especially with Bradley going down and Jalen Phillips going down. He really plugged and played for them and helped them out a lot last season. So I did want to highlight him, but I just think quarterback's the more important position.
And reuniting with Brian Flores too,
yeah,
he's a stud for sure.
Yeah, he's going to play for sure.
I'm gonna have the Vikings actually trading up to either 4 or 5 with the Cardinals or the Chargers, and I'm gonna have them taking J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan. I just think that the fit is too good with what Kevin O'Connell wants to do. JJ has the intangibles. He is a winner. He makes special throws. He's not asked to do it often, or he wasn't asked to do it often at Michigan. They didn't win because of him. They won with him. But I wouldn't fault him for that. That was just the brand of football that Harbaugh wanted to play, and they really wanted to lean into those backs and that offensive line. It's just a low sample size. Kind of the same thing with Amarius Mims. Like, he has the traits to be a special quarterback. You've seen him have the flashes of being a special quarterback. He can make all the throws, especially over the middle of the field. Like, he throws darts across the middle, which that's a lot of NFL offenses nowadays. It's not attacking outside the numbers as much anymore. It's hitting those crossers across the middle. So, not the most sure prospect at the quarterback position. Very similar to like Trey Lance. Not that I want to speak that into reality, but the 49ers traded up to 3 to get Trey Lance. So, it's a very similar player.
I think Trey was a lot better than JJ in college, just to be honest. Even
But
though
also
he was
playing at NDSU.
I would say even though he was playing at an FCS school, and it's very different ball. Trey was a dog in college. I can't deny him that. But like you said, it was a very, they did give up a lot and they moved up very high just to get Trey Lance. But when you throw 28 quarterbacks and 0 interceptions in a season, bro, like you him. I don't care what level you play at. 28-0 is insane to me. But not to get off task. I don't know how I feel about JJ. The Vikings need a quarterback. Sam Darnold isn't the answer. You're not getting Caleb. You're not getting May. You're not getting Jaden. So it's like JJ's all that's left. Unless you want to go trade for Kyler, but you're going to want the cheaper player because you got to play Justin Jefferson. I don't think he's a bad prospect. I just don't know if he's worth the number 4 pick overall.
Yeah.
But, we'll see.
But the thing is, the Vikings board might not look anything like our board. Like, maybe he's
True.
QB2 for them. Maybe he's QB6 for them. So, maybe they view getting him at 4 after 3 have already gone off the board as a steal. So,
yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a lot to like about JJ. It's just, obviously, those 3 guys ahead of him, in my opinion, have shown to elevate their team more than JJ has. But
and like you said, JJ just wasn't really asked to do it.
Yeah.
He threw 22-5 his sophomore year, 22-4 his junior year. So like that shows you like he's smart with the ball. He's not an idiot. He's not just throwing any and everything. He's precise with his reads. He makes good decisions. But like I don't want to repeat what you just said. It's just a small sample size. And I really struggle with taking a quarterback with the top 5 pick with a small sample size. You want to know that that's your guy in the future, like. And I just don't know if he's a guy of the future. I also wonder how much Jim, being an NFL head coach, has kind of moved him up the boards. I don't think there was really any talk for JJ going in the top 10 before Jim was a head coach for the Chargers. But I do think that Jim has been a part of JJ moving up. I think he's been a big fan of his, and I think he's been very vocal about that. So you can only really, wonder what's going on behind closed doors. He's definitely endorsing this guy to the league. But, you can't be mad at coach for endorsing this player.
No, I agree.
I'll say that's it. That's the D, right? Pause. My bad.
Yeah. No, I think that wraps up the NFC. We're happy to move on to the AFC next, but this was a fun episode. Really enjoyed talking about these 4 teams, and I'm excited, especially with these 4 draft prospects. I'm very excited to see how all of their careers turn out if they end up in these places. But in general,
Like, you think we'll be looking back like the 2021 draft class?
probably. I mean, this class to me feels way more stacked than last year.
In general, or are we talking
In general.
Okay, in general, yeah. I can agree with that. Especially wide receiver and tackle. It's so deep. It just doesn't make sense.
Feels similar to that was it 2019 where Wirfs, Andrew Thomas, Mekhi Becton, CD, Henry Ruggs.
Was that was Waddle's class too? Am I correct, or was that Smitty's class?
No. That was. I'm talking about the year before that class. I think Jettas is in that class too.
Yeah. 2019. Because that would have been. No, Jamar was 2020.
Yeah, I think it. No, it was the 2020 class.
It was, okay. Yeah, that was a stacked class, wide receiver and tackle wise.
Yeah, it feels very similar to that to me. I mean, I think there were 5 tackles taken in the top 15. Andrew Thomas, Jedrick Wills, Mekhi Becton, Tristan Wirfs. No, it was only 4, but still. And Austin Jackson also went in the first round. Solid player. And Isaiah Wilson, who's now, I don't even think he played like 10 snaps in the league.
Yeah.
But for that wide receiver draft class, also stacked. Henry Ruggs, Dog, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, just T. Higgins, Michael Pittman.
Wow.
That is a crazy draft class.
Yeah, that's insane.
But yeah, I think it's going to be a very exciting draft, and it makes me feel good that there's so much depth in this class because the Ravens are picking late, and I think that it's going to be hard to go wrong even that late.
Yeah.
In the first round.
All right, so looking at this quarterback class, right? Let's say if it goes how it's supposed to go. Caleb goes 1, Drake goes 2, and Jaden Daniels goes 3, right? 2021 class, we had Trevor Lawrence going 1, Zach Wilson going 2, Trey Lance going 3. If you had to compare, I guess, how do you project that to line up? If that makes any sense.
Like in terms of who would I compare each of the players
who would you, even though 2 of them, haven't really had careers.
I mean, I think Trevor is Caleb because he's the blue chip. He's that Andrew Luck-esque QB prospect that everyone hypes up.
Yeah.
I guess I would compare Jaden to probably Trey Lance for his mobility and kind of a late riser in the cycle.
Okay.
Not a dude that was talked about a lot until kind of blew up his senior year.
Yeah.
And then I guess that leaves Drake May and Zach Wilson, the 2 white guys.
I guess that lines up pretty well. I guess that works.
I wouldn't say they're super similar players. I do think they're similar. I think Drake's more prototypical pocket passer than Zach Wilson, but that's not to say that Drake isn't an athlete.
Yeah.
He definitely can move.
Definitely. That 2021 quarterback class was terrible.
Who got drafted in the first round?
Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and Mac Jones.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Like, there was a
That
point.
2019 class is pretty bad as well.
Who was 2019?
I think it was Kyler, DJ, Dwayne Haskins, RIP.
Oh, yeah, what did...
I
I think Dwayne went, what, 10?
think Jordan Love's in that class, actually. Kyler at 1. Daniel Jones at 6. Dwayne at 15. Yeah.
Yeah,
those were the-
Drew Lock, Gardner Minshew. Yeah, the quarterback's in the first round recently.
Yeah, I know.
It's been rough.
Definitely.
It's been very rough for first round quarterbacks.
Except for Joe Burrow.
Yeah, Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, and Jackson are outliers within the last 5 years, 6 years.
Can't forget Stroud.
Hey, and CJ too. Yo, I know we weren't talking about it in this episode, but the Panthers got to do something, bro. They're over there twiddling their thumbs, playing around.
Go get T.
Do something, man.
Give up pick 33 for T.
Or even Ayuk. I'd be calling the 49ers and the Bengals every day. They'd have to block my number because they gotta get them. They gotta get Bryce some help.
I know. I don't even think anyone is really calling Bryce a bust yet, because he had nothing to work with. But that doesn't mean you don't try and put everything you can around him this offseason. Like,
Yeah.
I got to see a little bit more than Deontay Johnson and some guards.
Like, he's over there playing with one hand behind his back. It's not enough.
Yeah.
Like, I just know he's so jealous of CJ right now. I just know he's so upset.
I know.
Because the Texans are doing it right for sure.
Definitely.
I can't wait to talk about the AFC though, man. That's the real
know.
division. The real bump over there. NFC is kind of phony.
Yeah, I'm excited too. We had to get this out of the way.
Yeah, a lot of heavy hitters in the AFC coming.
Oh yeah. Well, catch us again soon for the AFC, but we'll be chatting with you soon.
Yes, sir.